Welcome to the Emotional and Mental Health Summit. My name is Dolores Andrew Gavin and I'm your host. I am the founder of the Mythic Fairy, a dedicated children's website for all things emotional health. I'm also the author of 2 children's books, an empowerment and assertive coach, a podcaster, blogger and mum. I have 2 reasons, I guess, for doing this summit and bringing it together. And firstly, it's to support the whole conversation that's already there around emotional and mental health. And secondly, I also want to bring tools to people to show them that, I suppose, firstly, that there are tools that we can use to help us, whether that be learning something like emotional freedom technique or helping ourselves to step into our power by finding our voice. There are lots of different tools I'll share on this summit from the speakers that will be speaking. And also, of course, you also will hear from people who have been on a journey themselves. So it's always good to know that we're not alone and that others have travelled the same path possibly as ourselves. I hope that you enjoy the summit. Thanks for being here. Hello and welcome back to the Emotional and Mental Health Summit. Today I'm joined by the wonderful Raven Keys. And this recording is actually coming all the way from Glastonbury where Raven lives. Part-time. Raven is the author of The Healing Power of Reiki, and she's also the founder of Raven Keys Medical Reiki. You're welcome to the conversation.
Thank you. So in today's world, there's so much stress. We wake up in the morning and we're already stressed out because we know from all the news that we've just been subjected to in the day before our sleep, that there's just so much going on in the world that causes us to be in dismay for ourselves and our children and for the earth. And so stress causes disease. It's the number one.
Yeah, it's the number one cause, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the number one cause of disease, and it's reported to be so by many hospitals in today's world. It's really interesting. My specialty has become breast cancer, working with breast cancer patients, not because I tried to, but it's just that that's the way it all turned out.
Do you want to bring us back a bit, I suppose, to maybe what started you off with Reiki in the first place, before you developed into medical Reiki, maybe?
Well, I received Reiki from my yoga teacher at one point, and that was the first time I ever even heard of it. I didn't know anything about it. I just was taking my yoga class, a private yoga class, and my teacher had taken Reiki training on the weekend. So she was leading my husband in his poses while I was lying on my mat. She said, "Oh, you're too tired to take yoga today. I just am going to do Reiki on you." So what I learned very quickly was that when you decide that you're going to do Reiki on someone, and it's an intention, she rubbed her hands together and she put her hands on my feet. And her intention was that she was giving me Reiki and that it was going to do me some good. So while she was helping she was not paying any attention to me at all. She was really directing my husband in his poses. Oh, move a little this way, do that, whatever. Meanwhile, I am on the receiving end of this amazing energy that made me just so filled with bliss and happiness. And I thought to myself, I want to learn how to do this. Yeah. I don't know anything about it. I don't know one thing about a fact concerning it, but I have to learn how to do it. So I studied Reiki. And then,
but she obviously, go back to what you started with the stress. She obviously saw in you that there was some sort of a stress, that you were too tired, and whether that was too tired from stress or whatever, that you needed it. So her intention, as you said, was to, because Reiki's a lot about intention, isn't it?
It is. It's very much about intention. To be the hollow bone is how I call it, to this energy that heals. and you give it permission, or your intention is that it will do whatever is needed to be done right now for the highest good of the person that's under your hands. Yes, and I was stressed out, now that you mention it, Dolores, because, you know, at that time I was an actor, and there's nothing more stressful than being an actor in the city of New York.
I can imagine where you're from, yes.
Yes, where, you know, you have to go to another audition and another audition and another audition in a city where, you know, the director can say, well, I want to have a blonde person with blue eyes. But when you get to the audition, you find out the director really wants somebody who can roller skate, and not just frontwards, but backwards, and do spins.
Yeah.
You know, so it's so stress
Yeah.
producing. But that was a long time ago now.
But it's great to see how the journey started, because, you know, so much, as you say, has to do with the stress. And no matter where we are in our life, I mean, you're now my Medical Reiki, delighted to have studied Medical Reiki with you. So I suppose I wanted to start with the Reiki first. I always say too, I love my Reiki. I'm my biggest client, and I do it for myself, for my own emotional and mental health. My emotional well-being is what I use my Reiki on for myself for mostly. And I love to be able to do it on my boys as well as obviously being a therapist. So I think that's the way I want to share in this conversation, how now we have this wonderful medical Reiki that can be brought into the medical room.
Yes, it can be brought into the operating theater. It's a very easy thing for us to show up with our hands. There's not equipment, there's not a lot of movement, you're not moving around the room. It's very important to know what to do in terms of interacting with the medical team, the surgical team. I have been told that if I did the wrong thing, or I got in somebody's way, or caused any kind of problem in any way, shape, or form, that I would be asked to leave, and I would not be able to discuss it. So that's why I have all these years of experience of being in the operating room doing Reiki. It's not like I planned for this to happen. When you study Reiki, your feet just get put on a path. And it's not like you even know what's going to happen. It just starts happening. We all have our place to be. There are people doing all kinds of things with Reiki, but for whatever reason, it was my destiny to go and start working with surgeons. And the first surgeon that I worked with was Dr. Mehmet Oz, and of the Dr. Oz show, and it was incredible. And I learned a lot about Reiki for me in that instance, because I didn't know that I'd be able to do it, you know, because I'm squeamish. I hate blood. I don't like operating rooms. I couldn't even imagine that I would ever be in an operating room. And with them at the time, Dr. Oz was a full-time heart surgeon. So, and he was an icon in the city of New York, and really in the country. And so I couldn't imagine myself in that situation. But I ended up there nevertheless because of my love for a client who was getting open heart surgery. And I speak about that in my book. And I'm going to tell the story in great detail in my upcoming book that I'm working on now about medical Reiki. So, yeah. So anyway, one thing led to another. And then before you know it, all these years have gone by. And how
long was that ago you started working with Dr. Oz?
In 2000.
Wow.
Yeah. I became a Reiki master in 1995. And then your
path really was, it's like it was always meant to be, always go towards medical Reiki.
It seems so, yeah. Because you know, everything just starts happening. I got a job almost immediately. In 1996, I became a Reiki master at the end of 1995. By 1996, I was already working in Equinox Fitness, which is a huge healthcare system club, fitness clubs throughout the city of New York, and now they're all over the United States, and some of them are even in other countries now. But in any case, I was I ended up working there because it's just so coincidental. I won't go into all that because it's just happened.
It happened.
And then because Equinox had a PR team, I ended up being interviewed and by editors from Vogue and W and this and that, New York Magazine. The next thing I know,
who are you?
I know. So the word about Reiki started getting out into the world. So one thing led to another, and then because I was working at Equinox, and it's like kind of health club at the time, everyone thought I must know a lot since I was doing this mystical thing, so they thought. And I was asked to teach meditation. So I started teaching meditation, and a long time later, a couple years later, I had someone come to my class, and she became my client, and then she needed open heart surgery, and that's how I ended up in the operating room. Yeah, and we had developed a really close relationship before she got realized that she needed heart surgery. So I had to buck up, because the thing is too that what I do has been like given to me by the angelic realm, for better or for worse, if people can handle that or not. You know, that's what really happens.
Yeah.
Because when you do Reiki, you know, like you connect with spirit guides or whatever. And in my case, what the assistant that showed up for me was the Archangel Gabriel. And it took me a while to even accept that with my sensibilities at the time, being an adult who'd gone through all kinds of things by the time all this is happening, you know, by the time I studied Reiki. It was hard for me to believe in the beginning, but it has proven to be absolutely true. So after that, after working with Dr. Oz in the operating room, I was invited to join his research team, which was mysterious to me because I'm sitting, like every Tuesday morning, I would go and join this team around a conference table with Dr. Oz dressed in scrubs, because Tuesday was an day for him to be in the operating room. So really early in the morning, we would have these people, doctor this, doctor that, doctor this, doctor that, all around the table. And then my little tag there said Reiki Master. I was like, whoa, you know, how is this happening? Why am I here?
Yeah.
Like, and they're talking about all this research that they've done, and they were investigating everything from prayer to its effect on patients, to chelation therapy, everything you could imagine. And Dr. Oz, I found out as time went by, really wanted to do research on Reiki, energy medicine. He named it energy medicine, and it is. That's what it really is. It's like energy from the universe that is really profoundly effective on people who are ill, or who are stressed out, or have, you know, issues on any level that's causing them to feel less than happy in this body of ours, in your life. It's really incredible. I mean, it's so powerful for PTSD, which is a result of stress beyond imagination. Yes, and things like that. And so we get to the present, well, a few years back now, you know, I just continued. I started working with Dr. Sheldon Mark Feldman, who's a very revered breast cancer surgeon. And he has his own story about how he became a breast surgeon to begin with, and why he is really interested in Reiki, you know, and really wants to prove its validity, so that everyone can have it if they wish, and that medical insurance will pay for it. because up until now, if there's any surgical event, the patients have been paying for this service, and it's it has to be paid for. I mean, you put yourself through a lot as the practitioner to show up for that, and all the moving parts and everything you have to pay attention to, while it's like being in two worlds at the same time. You're delivering Reiki, and that's one thing. And so, you know, there's that. And then there's all the stuff that you have to make sure that you are aware of, so that you don't do something incorrect that will affect your presence, number one, or affect the patient or the outcome of the surgery. It's really, you have to really do the right thing. So,
but it's great that you teach this and you make people aware of that in your training, because, like, you know, can anyone even imagine what it must be like to be in surgery, you know, and see all the, you know, what goes on? So I think it's the training is necessary.
It is necessary.
But also, you know, to get into that space of actually, knowing the possibilities, and to hear people that stories that already have gone into surgeries and done it, because it's quite setting the trend as such. It's not like it's part of, unfortunately, it's not the norm that we have our medical Reiki practitioners going in to the operating room, which is a pity. But you're paving the way, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, thank you. I am paving the way, and it was another thing that Archangel Gabriel told me I had to do, if I would please. You know, you always have free will when you're asked to do something, but I decided that I would try my best, and I just started teaching other Reiki masters everything I knew about surgery, as I had been directed by Archangel Gabriel. And so what I'm doing is I'm creating a new profession, a profession that will be accepted and is being accepted by hospitals, by surgeons, by doctors, and the thing is, even in the medical world, if you can work in the operating room, that's considered to be a very big deal. If you can work in the operating room, then you're at the top of your game and you can do anything. So what am I doing? I'm training Reiki masters and how to go into surgery, and then they receive a credential and they become a certified medical Reiki master. And this credential is opening doors for people in unexpected places and ways. Another part of the training is that people receive all these files and paperwork and letters from doctors and all kinds of things that they can use, a marketing plan, all these different things that they can use to get in and open doors themselves. And it's not about me. It really is not. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about anybody. It's about it. And it needs to happen. So, well, you know, the angels have told me since that this is about changing how patients are treated. Doctors have a really hard job. They come in to be doctors because they have something in their heart that they want to help people. They want to be there. They want to help people. They want to be the one that can create a better way forward for somebody who's suffering. So, and if they don't have that as the foundation for becoming a doctor, there's no way that they can get through all of that they have to go through in order to become a doctor and to become a surgeon. It's unbelievable what they have to go through just to get there. And then they're there, and they have now entered a system that's very restricted to them, you know, and they're overworked beyond imagination. A lot of it has to do with the insurance companies having to fill out all these papers and keep track of all this data, more than we can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And the hours they work, the stress that they're under is beyond imagination. So it's not an uncommon thing for a surgeon or a doctor to become filled with compassion fatigue to the point where they have to shut down. It's either shut down or you're not going to be able to be a doctor anymore. And I know of at least one doctor who confessed to me that she had to give up because of her compassion fatigue. And I actually look after a few doctors who are struggling with that. And Reiki is the only thing that calms them down, that gives them hope, that lifts them, helps them to release the terrible things they've had to see in all the days. Yes. And so then they can continue being doctors. So the medical Reiki is going to change everything the more the doors open. And why are the doors opening? Because of the training, because of the credential, and because of all the people who are certified medical Reiki masters who are knocking on those doors and saying, hey, I'm here. You can depend on me. And we actually are a buffer for the doctors, because once they understand what we're doing, we're actually taking care of the patient. During surgery, guess what? During surgery, nobody else has the time to take care of the patient, because they have to focus 1,000% on what they are doing. Their job is specific, and it's very, very important and crucial that they don't have time to think about who's on the table. They just can't do it. Because if they do, if they get emotionally involved, they might not be able to make the tough decisions that need to be made in a crucial moment. Because anything can go on. Anything can happen. But what's also really a buffer for the doctors when we're present is that complications are kept minimum. Everything goes well. We show up with our hands and we're pulling in the universal life force energy, the energy that the cells recognize in spite of all of their stress that might have caused the disease to begin with. Their cells remember home. They remember their perfection. And it's also true that when somebody's receiving Reiki during surgery or any time, their parasympathetic nervous system is stimulated. That's a system in the brain and in the spinal cord that is the rest and restore part of the nervous system. It's the exact opposite of the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight, which we find ourselves in so much of the time. And that creates cortisol, stress hormones like cortisol, and it's very toxic to the body. It's a chemical that's released that's very toxic and leads to all sorts of problems. So
wow, gosh, there's so much in it. Now, I suppose I'd love you maybe to just ask you if you can give us an idea, let's say, of when I say testimonial, it's someone that's gone, that you've been with in the ER room, and what they have felt from it.
Well, yes, I've received a lot of emails post surgery, and people have come to see me again, and then they just can't say enough about it. It really makes a huge difference because the person knows that somebody's with them, and they can see them in pre-op. And then when they wake up in the operating room, there you are. And they know that there's somebody there for them to hold on to their life while they're under anesthesia. And so, yes, I've got lots of testimonials. I can't, remember everything right off the top of my head, but there are many of them.
It must be lovely to have someone hold such a lovely space for you during such an important operation. And you say that you do a lot of work with people with breast cancer patients.
Mm-hmm. That's become almost my specialty. And here's the most incredible thing is because of the fact that Dr. Feldman that I mentioned earlier really embraces Reiki fully,
which is so great.
Yes, and he has his own personal reasons why, and what he recognizes it doing. So he wants his patients to have it because of the fact that I had that one breast cancer patient in the beginning. I spoke about that already, didn't I?
You were about to, and I brought you back to the beginning actually of your story. So if you want to mention.
Yes, so there was a client that was sent to me, and she was going to have breast cancer surgery. And Dr. Dr. Feldman was her surgeon. And so she asked him if I could go into the operating room with her. And he knew that I had worked with Dr. Oz because they're friends, they're colleagues. So I was invited into his OR, and that was only the beginning of a whole history that we developed together of him sending his patients to me time after time after time after time. I was in the operating room. You know, I've gone through a lot. I've like made a headway for people who are going to follow me in these footsteps of mine. You know, I've like broken down a lot of barriers already, although people are going to have to break down their own. Because nobody knows everything, right? So
and you have medical you have people that are qualified in a lot of different countries.
Yes, I do. I have qualified people in Ireland.
Ireland. There are a few of us.
Three. Yes, three.
Myself, Yvonne, and Marilyn.
Marlene. Yes.
Sorry, Marlene.
So it's wonderful. So we have Scotland, England, Dubai, Canada, China, the Philippines, and then we have Singapore, Taiwan. People have flown in from all over the world to take the medical Reiki training.
I'm not surprised, really. I shouldn't say wow, because I mean, like, it's such a breakthrough. I think that's why my reaction is like that. It's so great to know that you have done it. You have knocked down so many doors. I love this behind us, the open door. You've opened so many doors already that at least that, you know, that you can say it's working here. You could show them a template almost for what has worked in the future or the past and what is possible for the future. You have your testimonials there. You've already written a book on the healing power of Reiki, which is a good read, very good read, and also the foreword was done by Dr. Oz. So I think if people want to, you know, it's a great start to be an author of a book as well. I think it gives us credence to it, doesn't it? It gives, you know, people are delighted to be able to read up on what you've been through yourself, what you've done. They know that you've knocked on doors already and that actually doors have opened for you with several doctors in America. And we too can do the same in our own countries.
That's the point.
Yeah.
And in the bigger picture, as has been explained to me by the angels, medicine is a huge and respected doorway for us to bring spiritual evolution to. And we are bringing evolution to not just the patient or the doctors. Everybody in the room is, their vibrations are raising.
Yeah, of course.
And we're and so in the big picture, the angels have said that the vibrations of all these people are being raised. Then they go out into society, or they stand in the elevator next to somebody, you know, and everybody's cells recognize, the energy of the person that's standing next to them. We're like delivering evolution. We're the delivery system for the evolution of the human race as medical Reiki masters. That's what we're doing in the big picture. And it all, like, it just comes down and down and down. It starts here with you.
In the heart.
In the heart and with you. and it brings blessings to you first, you know, and then it goes out from there and out and out and out and out, and it's just going to go out and out and out. We can't even imagine how far out this is going to go and how much research is going to be done to prove what this does. And at the same time, there's the mystical. And Albert Einstein, among other scientists and physicists, have said, everything that counts can't be counted. Dr. Feldman has also said, if we have to prove everything that we do for our patients, there are some really wonderful things that we won't be able to provide. Yes. And it goes on. And then I'd like to read you a quote, if I can find it, from Einstein. He says, oh dear me. Oh no, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to be putting a link anyway on the website where you can find and visit Raven Keys' own website so that you can find out information on where you can do training if you wish to. Have you got the quote?
Yes. Einstein said, the most beautiful and profound emotion we can experience is the sensation of the mystical. It is the sower of all true science. He to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead. That's what he said. And I'll tell you what, like I've had people come up to me in the operating room at the end of a surgery. They never heard of Reiki before. They don't know anything about it. They, you know, I'm just back there. You almost disappear. As long as you know what to do, they just forget about you because they're busy.
Yes, of course.
They're busy. But at the end, I've had people come up to me, the patient's still on the table, they're going to be brought to the recovery room soon, and I'm going with them. But nevertheless, come up to me and say, with their masks on and everything, what were you doing?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I never felt anything like that before.
Yeah.
The operating room, oh, where are we? You know, it's like they really, if they're sensitive, and sometimes they don't know what to say.
Yeah. And that's great. I know my favorite Reiki clients sometimes are people that are skeptical.
Oh,
and
that's
it's not to just to prove anything. It's just so that people do realize when we let go and surrender to what will happen, the magic that can happen. Because Reiki really is energy. I always say to people, it's energy. We're made of energy. We work with energy. It can't but work, you know. And intention, as Raven touched on, energy flows where our attention goes. So with our intention and with the attention and surrendering to the outcome, Reiki is just such a wonderful therapy.
It is.
Where can we find you, Raven?
Oh, I have a website. It's called www.ravenkeysmedicalreiki.com.
And that's keys with an E, Keyes.
Yes.
And also your Healing Power of Reiki book is available on Amazon, and probably your website as well, where people can go look at that. And you have another book as well on angels.
Yes, The Healing Light of Angels. It's really amazing because the Dr. Oz wrote the foreword for the Reiki book. My angel book, the foreword was written by the surgeon, another renowned surgeon named Dr. Keaton Kawadani, and he took my kidney out. And I brought Reiki to Columbia Presbyterian Hospital, and then that's where I was having my surgery with him. And I had a Reiki Master with me, Lisa Wilson. And and what was really interesting is that when I was in the room following the surgery, for one thing, I'm really grateful that I had to have a major surgery that was really very, very complicated and profound. Yes, because I understand firsthand what a patient goes through, because I was the patient. And you realize, even though I knew I had, Lisa with me and everything, I felt like everything would be okay. You still don't know. Like, what is today the day that you're really is something gonna go wrong? I mean, I really did experience the terror. I let myself experience it, really, because I wanted to know what other people felt when I was with them. And what that could possibly be like.
Absolutely. I think, once we have, I always call it, once we have the medicine ourselves, we've been through something, it's so much easier to be empathic towards people when we've been through it ourselves. Because, I mean, with all the will in the world, we can hold space for someone, but when we have actually the experience of it as well, it just brings a whole different dimension to ourselves as a practitioner, I think. Because we might remember that exact time when the doors closed behind us, or whatever it is. And we, if you're talking to a client, I suppose pre-op, they might say something that really resonates with you, because you could appreciate exactly where they were, because you lay there once too.
Yes, that's right. I lay there once too. Yes.
Well, I can highly recommend Raven as a Medical Reiki Master, obviously, after having taken the training. And I did mine in Glastonbury, and I'm back again this year, 2 years later. I think it's 2 years ago now I trained, and it's great to bump into you again here.
Yes, we bumped in.
We prearranged to bump in.
Yes.
So all I want to say is a big thank you for sharing this wonderful tool of Reiki as something that people can use for their emotional and mental health around some, either pre-op, we're talking medical Reiki, but just stress in general, as you started the conversation with, medical or Reiki is for well-being.
It is.
It's for so much.
It is so much. And I just in the Guardian today, I was reading that 6,000 mental health nurses have left the NHS in the past 10 years, and more are leaving all the time. So this is something that can pick up the pieces. It's not like we're nurses. Some of us are even doctors that are doing medical Reiki, but we can really help people who are going through mental and emotional trauma issues, because Reiki is so powerful. It can bring a person back to themselves. It reminds minds, the body, mind, emotions, and spirit about where home is. Home is here.
Wonderful. So I guess people can go to your website, as I say, to find out more about you and your trainings, because other people do your training now as well, do they, in other countries?
Oh yes, people are training all over the place. You have to come through the website, because we're keeping this really under control for reasons. There are very strong reasons where we are protecting this. The only reason it became a company is because Dr. Feldman told me it should be a company so that it could be protected. And it's, these are the gold standards and best practices, and we're protecting all the people who take the training. In today's world filled with crazy people, it's like we want everybody to be safe. If anything's going to go amok, it's not going to be with anybody that we've trained, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's great, and that's always great to know. All I can say is, Raven, thank you so much for joining the call. It's a pleasure to have you on. Second time, because I interviewed you 2 years ago for the emotional health, or the Global Emotional Health Summit I ran 2 years ago. And it's great to have you back on for this one, because I think a lot of people will resonate with energy work. And it's just great to, and now with Medical Reiki, and that you can train in Ireland, England, wherever you are, America, the opportunity is there if there's a course coming up, or I guess if there's enough people, that can be looked at as well, and people can contact you for further information. So it's www.ravenkeys.com.
No, Medical Reiki.
Medicalreiki.com. Ravenkeys, medicalreiki.com. but I will have the link up as well under the YouTube video so that people can pop along there directly and talk to you directly if they wish to, and find out more information.
And also, if you are somebody out there that needs surgery, you can get in touch with me through the website, and we'll send you somebody from your area, because we have everybody listed throughout the world.
Yeah, which is great to know as well. I'm glad you said that, actually. Great. Thank you, Raisin, so much.
Thank you, Dolores.